Hey, what's up, guys? So, very welcome. We're going to start with the next unit, which is Unit 12. The name of this unit is Experts, and in this lesson, we're going to check something about dilemmas about the past. Well, especially, things that we could have done or things that we should have done in the past to have a better result. For example, it's very common that when you, I don't know, maybe when you have to make a difficult decision, sometimes it's complicated because the decision could that you take could be good or bad, and sometimes it's difficult to see which is the best decision. So in this case, guys, we're going to talk about decisions that we made in the past, and now we think that maybe it was a bad decision because there could have been another possible solution, or there could be another possible advice to have a better result. So that is the principal objective, guys, of this lesson, describing dilemmas about the past. Remember, dilemmas are situations when we have to make a good decision, but it's difficult. So, for example, in this case, I'm going to show you some situations, and what I want you to pay attention, guys, is to think about the decisions and imagine if it was a bad decision, or a partially good decision. For example, what could have happened, or what should I have done in this situation? Some years ago, my friends and I went camping. The problem was that it was getting late and we hadn't found a good place to camp. So we camped near a river. At night, it rained a lot and the river collapsed. We were afraid, but fortunately, nothing bad happened. So you think, or you analyze the situation, maybe it was not really a good idea. For example, I think it was a bad decision because we could have died or we could have got drowned. I think that we should have chosen a different place to camp. I think that camping close to the river is dangerous because, like in this case, you can have accidents. So this was a dilemma that we had in that moment. We didn't have a good place to camp. It was getting late. It was getting dark. So we made a bad decision. Now let's see another situation. In this case, we have what could have happened, or what should Robert have done in this past event. Okay, it says when Robert was in high school, he was very irresponsible. He didn't usually finish his homework and he didn't study for his exams. He decided to quit school. Now he works, but he makes little money and he's unhappy because of that. So, what do you think about these guys? Do you think it was a good decision, a bad decision, partially good or partially bad decision? Well, I think that this was a bad decision because he could have got a better job if he had finished his studies. I believe that he shouldn't have quit school, and he should have been more responsible at school, of course. Obviously, if one studies is what is going to help us in the future. So I think that he took these bad decisions in the past. It maybe was a difficult situation for him, but well, I think it was a really bad decision. And then in this case, what could have happened in this case, or what should Mary have done in this situation? Well, in this case, Mary got divorced because her ex-husband had a secret relationship with one of her sisters. But the problem was that she never got married again with any other man because she didn't trust men again. So in this case, I think that it was a partially good decision. First of all, she couldn't have known that they could have fallen in love. It was impossible to know this. But I believe that after some time, she should have met other men, and She should have tried to start a new relationship with someone else. I don't know. Um, she should have seen maybe a therapist to work on this problem, so she could have started a new life. So in a certain way it was good that she got divorced because her husband was not a honest person. But also I think that after a couple of, I don't know, maybe years or months, we don't know. I think that she should have started a new life and she should have forgotten about him because maybe it was not really healthy to think about this guy anymore. So if you pay attention, guys, here, guys, the principal objective is to, well, identify what is the meaning of these words using could have or should have in short form. For example, in this case, you can see that we have different uh, meanings. In point number one, it says this was the right thing to do, but we didn't do it. Then this was the wrong thing to do, but we did it. This was possible, but it didn't happen. Or this was impossible and it didn't happen. And then you have some examples here from my previous situations. It says we could have got drawn. We should have chosen a different place to camp. She couldn't have known about that bad situation, and he shouldn't have quit school. In the first situation says this was the right thing to do, but we didn't do it. What could be the corresponding idea? The first, the second, the third, or the fourth? Okay, so in this case, guys, the right answer is the second. It says this was the right thing to do, but we didn't do it. We should have chosen a different place to camp because we camped near a river. Okay, the next one says this was the wrong thing to do, but we did it. Okay, we have the first, the third, or the fourth. Okay, in this case, this is talking about the fourth. He shouldn't have quit school, but obviously he did it. Now he is not happy anymore. Then the next one, it says this was possible, but it didn't happen. Well, in this case, if you remember the story, is this we could have got drowned. Fortunately, it didn't happen, so we were very lucky. But that is the idea. And finally, this was impossible and it didn't happen. So she couldn't have known about that bad situation. So it was impossible to know. So she never knew at the beginning that it would happen. So these are the ideas. So to conclude, guys, what you need to remember, guys, is the use of could have, or should have, or couldn't have, or couldn't have, or shouldn't have. So you have to understand what is the use. Could have is something that was possible, but it didn't happen. Should have is something that was good to do, but it didn't happen as well. Couldn't have is something that it was impossible to know. It didn't happen, of course. And shouldn't have describes something that was wrong, but that we did. So try to analyze these words, guys. Try to practice, and see you next time. Goodbye.